every year we try to do whether it's a Q&A panel, or this year we're doing a Legends and Millennials panel. We try to do a YPN hosted panel. It's always good just to have those questions answered that you may not think of day to day, and just would like some more information. So wanted to introduce a few people here. Like I said, this is hosted by YPN. And our YPN vice chair this year is Ashley Schmel. She is on here. And then also there's Ashley. Hello, Ashley. And then also speakers, if you want to quick introduce yourself, and then we will start with Arla. Just a reminder of the different topics we are covering today. Arla is going to talk about sustaining client relationships and pivoting best practices during market changes. Chris is going to talk about best practices for lender-agent relationships to best aid clients, and how to stay up to date on lending options in a changing market. And then Ashley O'Borney is going to speak on adjusting to new social media trends for marketing and lead generation, and also best practices for newer agents to stay busy and engaged. Just a reminder, if you could hold questions until the very end, we'll have 5 to 10 minutes for a little Q&A. If not, I have questions prepared to keep the conversation going as well. So I will kick it over to Arla. Arla, if you would like to introduce yourself and go ahead and begin.
Well, hello all. I apologize for being in the car, but I've got to go to Omaha, and we were still doing this call. So thank you for putting up with that. But I'm Arla Meyer, your current 2024 state president, and I don't know what else you want me to all say about anything. So we'll just leave it at there and kind of jump into it if that sounds okay. They did ask me to come and talk to you guys. Thank you for asking, and everybody listening. I always appreciate that. One of the things that they did specifically ask me to talk about was sustaining client relationship. And obviously within the market has changed a lot. So maybe some of the things that everybody's been doing over the last couple of years, you might want to reevaluate and look at some of those things. But definitely some things to keep in mind is personalize your communication with your clients. Don't make it so short. Don't make it so quick. I understand that this day and age, we want to try and just send that message and get it done type of a thing. But maybe we need to look at calling people again, picking up the phone, having that relationship, having that communication with them, maybe putting a smiley face out there. Not everybody always knows what you mean when you send those text messaging. Something else to think about is social media. Love it or hate it, it's here and it ain't going anywhere, guys. So it's one of those that you've got to kind of get used to the social media, or at least look at the different platforms for it and figure out which ones work for you. It doesn't mean that you got to do all of them. Doesn't mean that by any means, but you definitely should be putting yourself out there. The other thing to think about with social media, for the most part, it's free, guys. And we don't have a lot of things that are free in our industry. But if you could start looking at doing some social engagement, I think that will help you sustain your career as well. The other thing, when you are looking to do some of the social media, think about the videos, right? Everybody loves to see the videos. We got to keep them short. Keep them short, not an hour, not 20 minutes, maybe be like 2 to 4 minutes, short videos so they actually watch them. And then I've got agents that'll say, well, I don't want to do a video. I don't want anybody looking at me. Well, if you really stop and think about it, when we're talking, just right here, right now, this is a video. So they already know what you look like. They already know what you sound like. So think about putting some videos in there. When you're looking at doing different things with your listings, start thinking about more of the virtual tours. Start thinking about adding some of the 3D tours or the drone shots. Make it to where your listing looks a little bit different from everybody else's. That way it's going to help set you aside. I always like to say, give it that and then some, so to speak, but giving them that type of an experience. Another thing this day and age that everybody should have or should put in place is some type of a CRM, a client resource management, to help you manage your clients. There's also some dynamite CRMs right now that you can put your goals into it, and then it'll even generate to let you know how many phone calls you should be making per day, how many people should you be reaching out to. Also, when you're looking at doing that CRM, some of them will categorize your people. So, like an ABCD or a 1, 2, 3, 4. My A's are the ones that are going to be buying here shortly. My B's are going to be buying in 6 months. But those CRMs can help you in so many ways, not to even mention the digital part of it that they just take care of and everything just goes automatic. It is going to take a while to set it up front, but once it gets going, it's dynamite. It'll just blast it right out for you. That kind of brings me into e-newsletters. If anybody's wondering, I'm not driving. I did pull over for this portion of this, so don't be worried about that. But the e-newsletters is something else to think about. It's something that you can send to people weekly. No, maybe not weekly, monthly you can send out. Something that you can do, but you send it through email addresses. So again, it's not costing you anything. You're just automatically sending it out there. And then you can send it. And we all know how people like to look at houses or emails when they're at their day jobs. So pick whatever day is going to work out the best for you. Another thing to think about that's kind of fallen to the wayside with COVID a little bit is those client appreciation parties. You should be thinking about trying to do the small gatherings or the large gathering, depending on your comfort level and how it works best for you. When you do those client appreciation parties, have your favorite title lender people get involved with you and have it be a big gathering all together, or maybe with your offices join in with it. Some offices will do different gatherings, potluck lunches, Easter egg hunts, different things like that. Invite your clients to be a part of it. It makes people feel good. It makes people feel needed and wanted. Some other things to think about is your referral program. How often are you touching your past clients? How often are you reaching out to your past clients? Are you asking for the business? I know that when you're first getting started, sometimes the hardest question is to say, would you know anybody looking to buy or sell a property? It shouldn't be that difficult, guys. Just ask the question and you're going to be okay with it. Now, one of the other things that she talked about was me talking about pivoting in this industry. And what are some of the things that we do need to pivot on? We need to be realistic about staying informed. You've got to be informed as to what are the current trends that are happening and what overall is happening. Let's think about it. How many people are seeing all the national news updates that are going on with the lawsuits and things like that? Are you informed enough to be able to do an elevator speech with your buyers and sellers? Because if you're not, you really need to take the time to learn a little bit more about that. Talk to your brokers. I'm sure they'll be happy to share that information. But you've got to be informed as to what is happening and stay up to current trends. The other thing to think about is you've got to be flexible in your pricing. I get that we're starting to see some multiple offers again, but there's also some properties that I've seen out there that are still on the market for 200 days, some that have been longer than that. Typically, something like that tells me that that property might be a little bit overpriced, or there's just some things inside the house that isn't for the norm, so to speak. And so maybe we need to talk about the pricing up front so that we can create that awareness, but yet we still need to let our sellers know about the potential of multiple offers as well. You've got to be able to adapt to marketing strategies. You should have different strategies in place that work with the changing market times. Similar to, we know that this is an election year and everybody is talking about how the interest rates are going to be coming down. So what are you doing, or what have you guys put in place in order to help your business when that market changes? Have you even thought about it? Have you looked at it? If not, you really should, because it's coming and it's going to be an interesting summer. I truly do believe that. Diversify. Diversify your services. Offer a range of services when it comes to different things. There's different agents out there that will do like a venue of, okay, so if I'm going to get your listing at 7%, then I'm going to do a virtual tour. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, open houses. But maybe if I list it at a 5%, I'm only going to do these types of things. Make it like a la carte for them. That way, then they become part of the discussion, because as we all know, commissions are all negotiable. Focus on client education. I have always said that the second that we turn the process of buying a house or listing a house into an educational moment so that they listen to what it is that you have to say and understand why you're making them sign these forms, understand what's coming up, the people are going to remember you a lot longer because you turned it into an education and made them feel more a part of the process instead of just being over here and they only signed a couple forms quickly on digital formats. Embrace technology, guys. I hate it just as much as everybody else. Trust me, there's so many new technology that we're supposed to be learning. Try and embrace it as much. Doesn't mean you have to become an expert at all of it, but you should understand the majority of it, or at least the main pieces that affect your business. Last, and of course not least, don't worry, Sarah, I'm watching the time also. Focus on your customer service. Focus on taking care of the people. When they're talking to you, listen. We've got two ears, one mouth, use accordingly. Hear what they're saying. If they say they want to buy a $230,000 house, but the lender says they're approved at 250, you still only send $230,000 houses. You wait until they come back and tell you they want to do something or anything any different from that. But take the notes, listen to your buyers and sellers, because that alone will make a huge difference and makes them feel like they're involved in the process, and you hear what they're saying, and that always makes everybody feel better. With that, I will step back and I will let Sarah take back over. Thank you guys for all listening. I do appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Arla. What great tips. Does it, Arla, I know you need to get going, so we'll pivot a little bit. Does anybody have any questions for Arla? So then if she needs to go, she doesn't have to stay to the end to the Q&A portion. So if you have any questions, just unmute real quick and then we can let Arla get on her way. I feel like I should always play the Jeopardy music here. It's a little awkward.
And I'll stay on the call.
Okay.
I'm just going to be driving for the rest of it.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Well, then think of some questions, guys. If you have any, you can put them in the chat if you don't feel like unmuting. Otherwise, let's jump over to Chris. Chris, go ahead and introduce yourself and go ahead and get started.
My name is Chris Elgert. I know most of you on this board, but I've been in the industry for a little over 20 years. Worked with quite a few of you, which is great. Always been in the Lincoln market and have loved it. You know, I will say this, you know, they had asked me to talk about best practices with between me and my agents, and then also up-to-date information, changes in the market. How do we kind of disseminate that information? And what I would start by saying is that, you know, our goal, lenders, you know, at least it's definitely on our side with Shane and I, but, you know, we want to partner with the agents. We both have been in it long enough and been in relationships in the office and understand your side of the world. You know, specifically to me, you know, I grew up in a household. My dad was a market president, mortgage broker, real estate broker in this market for 33 years. And so I always kind of say that I grew up more with a realtor heart and ended up over here. But, you know, one of the things, you know, that we start with every relationship that we have is that connection. So, you know, when our agents send business to us or to another lender, our hope immediately is to get that person in front of us, to start building that trust, to start building the framework of our team. And I think it's extremely important that you have that relationship with the lender. You know, would love it to be us. But if you don't, then I would start there. I would absolutely build a relationship with a lender that you know and trust, so that you can create your team. The importance there is as you know, with technology and everything that's out there, we're seeing a lot of clients who are moving about without us always being there, so to speak. So it's a protection when your clients come in and sit down with us and we're building that team framework and we're creating trust, that we also keep you in the loop. Because one of the things that can tend to happen is, you know, vice versa, either way. Sometimes clients will notify us when they're interested in a property and say, hey, can you run some numbers on 123 Apple Street and tell us what, down payment and monthly payment would look like, and closing costs, and so on and so forth. And then once they find that information, they'll go back to you and say, hey, we're interested in this property. So we just want to make that somewhat seamless. We want to make sure that we're all working together. But once the process starts, obviously, then it changes a little bit, right? So we understand that you guys are transactional like we are. We hope that when the loan hits our desk, it's kind of in our hands, so to speak. And that, you guys can move on to doing your side of the business, the inspections, those kind of things, and future business, quite honestly, because as you know, you want to keep that pipeline growing. But so, up front, we always say that we want our pre-approvals to absolutely matter, that we're going to go through all of the paperwork, pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, tax returns, all the necessary items. It's not something in this day and age, there's a lot of companies out there that have online presence, and you can go in and you can fill out an application and you can put in your income, and they'll send you an approval letter without doing any due diligence on documentation. And so, specifically, that's not something we or I do. We are definitely going to look at that information before issuing a pre-approval letter, so that you as agents know that letter is going to stand on its weight. There are some things that that happen throughout the process, the job loss or whatever, or God forbid, death or anything like that can change the transaction. But we want to be way ahead of that. So once the transaction starts, then it's more a matter of just general communication. We're ordering appraisals, we're getting that stuff done, we're talking to you guys, we're reaching out to the listing agent, letting them know that who's going to be reaching out, things of that nature, to get those appraisals done. And then we're keeping everybody in the loop as we kind of progress on to final underwriting, so to speak. So there's a lot of technology on the lending side now, as Arlo was speaking to. We have apps, we have platforms where we are partnering with our realtor partners, so that they're sending out an app to get it started on our side, and then they actually can follow it all the way through the transaction. So each step of the way, and each item that's created and met, they're going to actually see that progression without having to contact us as well. So that's extremely important as we get busy, as this market heats up, to be able to stay in touch with us, know what's coming and what's going on, and that the borrowers are meeting expectations and getting stuff to us as fast as possible. So, and then in the end, obviously, most importantly, we want to meet those deadlines, right? So, we don't want delayed closings. We want you to rely on the lender partnership, so that, if you set the closing for the 18th of March, we're going to meet the 18th of March, and we're going to be approved hopefully a week in advance, and numbers out 3 business days, and everybody's ready to just show up at the table, and there's no 12th hour fire alarms that are going on. So there's a lot in that, but I would tell you that the most important thing is to work with a lender that's reputable, that does it, that understands the business, that understands the changing world that we see in regulations, and that is giving you the type of response that you want in that partnership. And obviously, more importantly, giving that type of response you want to your client, to create a lasting relationship. Lastly, up-to-date informations are changing in our marketplace. We see changes almost daily. It's incredible how many regulatory changes we see when it comes to finance. Some are big, some are small. I will say this: the small ones usually are not something that is disseminated to our crew. The large ones obviously are. So, I think it's important we send out. Most of you have seen mine, I know, because I think I have 700 or 800 people in my distribution list. But we send newsletters weekly or bi-weekly. We send flyers when things arise that come up that are very, very important, like most recently, obviously, the Federal Home Loan Bank grant, and the new HOPE program and set aside programs and the money that's available there. So we try, and anything that's massive or that's really going to be going to tilt our marketplace, we try and get that out as soon as possible. And then, like Arla was talking about, most of the things that we do specifically is, just try and meet with everybody. Shane and I attend quite a few meetings weekly with different agents, different brokerages, and all over the city, trying to keep them up to speed on exactly, what's changing in our marketplace, where rates are at, what grant funds are available, what the bond programs are doing, any changes to income limits for USDA or anything along those lines, special ARM rates, extended rate lock options for new construction, just all of that are things that we promote, talk to, try and educate our realtor partners so that they can go out and be dangerous, and talk to what our side of the world too, because finance is a big part as we see the increase in interest rates and the increase in pricing. We've got to get those people comfortable with what we're looking at, and then also talk to, like Arla had said, talk to what we see with what's upcoming, what the future holds, what interest rate tendencies look like for 2024, 2025, and even beyond. So we try and get that information out to our realtor partners, and so that they can, actively talk about where we're at, what we're doing, where we've been, and what's going to happen going forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Great information. We'll circle back and do questions at the end. Like I said, thank you again, Chris and Arla. Ashley, go ahead and introduce yourself and get started.
Hi, I'm Ashley Borney, and I feel like I am following two pros at this. So we'll see how this goes. I had all these ideas, and then through the course of being here, I've written lots of notes all over the place with more ideas. So yeah, social media, as Arla said, it's a great free platform for you to grow your business. I am going to kind of talk more on the side for newer agents. I know we've got some agents on here that are not exactly new, but I think that the hardest part when you get into this business is the overwhelm of where do you start when it comes to social media, especially if you come into the business and maybe you don't have listings right off the bat or buyers or whatnot, and you feel like you don't have anything to post. I think the biggest struggle people have is content for social media. And so I think back to when I started, and one of the best things that helped me was leaning on my mentors and colleagues and, sharing their listings, or, I used to go through and ask if I could do video tours for some of my colleagues' vacant listings to display, because everybody, regardless of whether they're going to buy a house tomorrow or next year, people like to do, sit on social media and watch you do video tours through homes and see what's the latest and whatnot. So I leaned a lot on my colleagues and mentors when I got into this business to help me with content, because I didn't feel like I was an expert at it, and I wanted to have something to share what I'm doing. And so some, I guess, tips that I have are, follow around your mentor and, shadow along with what they're doing for the day and video it. Instagram is one that I tend to use most, and they have a great, story share where it's a 24-hour share. And the nice thing about that too is you can, sounds creepy, but you can see who's watching it. So who, has you in the back of their mind. Like, I've had people reach out to me that I didn't realize were really paying attention to my stuff years later. And so people like to see what you're doing on the daily with your life. And I think too, an important part to the social media is not always having it be just real estate, a listing. Oh, look at this listing, whatnot. People want to see like more about your personality and get to know you through social media. And I think that's important too. And sometimes we forget that, like I'll post stuff about my family life and my, crazy children, and people get a kick out of that stuff. So, but yeah, there's so many platforms you can get onto. I feel like it becomes overwhelming. You have to figure out what platform you like to use. Some of our some of my colleagues use, I know Stacy's on here, she uses TikTok a lot. You know, so I kind of tend to be more Instagram, Facebook, but you know, it's whichever you feel you get a hang of for the platforms. And as we all know, video is the way. It used to always be, you know, it could just be a picture here and there, but video really is the best way to capture your audience. And like Arla said, short videos. I mean, you know, you don't want to make a 5-minute long video of, you know, rambling. And so having it short clip videos, reels. The nice thing now, as technology gets better and better, they now have templates for reels. So sometimes people that aren't so savvy with their videos, you know, would get, you know, frustrated because they have all these video content and they just don't want to put it together. Well, now Instagram has video reel templates that you can just insert in, and then they, you know, move the video around for you. So you know, I think it becomes overwhelming if you try to do everything. So start with one and go from there. And let's see, I have so much stuff written down about this. So one thing too that I think is great is not necessarily just the real estate photos, but what makes our area great. So promoting local businesses. One thing I like to do here and there is a business that I really enjoy getting products from or whatnot. I will promote their business and I'll do a share and I'll tag them. Well, guess what? They reshare it and they have a whole audience that may not follow me. And I've grabbed, you know, audience members from doing that. And so you're not only promoting local businesses that you like, but you may be helping that business, you know, with some of your audience that didn't know about it. And so, you know, that's simple things you can do too when you're getting started. Let's see what else. So a big thing is interacting with your database you already have. So someone has a happy birthday, you know, has a birthday, saying happy birthday. They say that if you send them a video message on Messenger, that now your content starts to pop up first for them at the top of Facebook. So I know there are agents that will send happy birthday videos to their clients or prospects over Messenger. One thing too is, how can you grab prospects to follow you? So maybe you have an open house flyer that has a QR code that leads them to your social media. I've had people that met me at an open house 3 years ago that follow me on Instagram. And then this year we helped, you know, buy and sell. So social media is such a great tool. I think even if you feel too overwhelmed to constantly make content every day, or, you know, even if you're like, oh, I'll make one post or video a week, I think having a presence somewhere is crucial with where we're at in technology. You know, whether that's having a business page or a Google page or whatnot, like being somewhere that you can be found only helps your chances of grabbing prospects more. Let's see, I feel like I have a lot written down here. But yeah, the blurbs of like your day, I feel like it doesn't just always have to be professional video. I think some people also see others that have been in business for a while and maybe are paying for professional video. Really, if you grab a colleague, a friend to help you with your video, taking your video somewhere, you know, it doesn't have to be like a professional paid video. I mean, I love seeing people, you know, do educational videos. They're like sitting at their house and they just have their phone set up and they're talking about getting started in the process of buying. And so stuff like that, I think sometimes we feel it has to be perfection and then people just don't want to do it. But really just doing little blurbs. And then also interacting with the people that, you know, are watching too. I like to do polls or questions on like, hey, I'm doing a remodel in my bathroom, like what do you think about this or that? And people love that stuff and like to, you know, participate and whatnot and give, you know, I like this or whatnot. So trying to engage your audience too, I feel like is important in the social media world. So yeah, biggest thing I'd say when you're newer is leaning on your mentors and colleagues if you feel like you struggle with content, because you know you're probably not going to come out of the gates feeling like an expert to do educational videos and things like that. So I have a lot of that stuff written down here. Give keep going, but Sarah, I might let you take over here. And if you've got some questions, or if anybody's got some questions, I'll.
Okay. I have one for you, Ashley. One is, other than just social media, what do you think is really important for newer agents or agents who've been in the business, 3 to 7 years, who might be hitting a slump or just getting started again? What do you think are some important ways for them to get re-engaged or to get engaged in the first time with the real estate industry, not just, getting started on social media?
Well, if they've got a database, I think that there's great tools out there, like Boomerang is a postcard that a lot of people will send that's got local coupons. You can now partner with someone else on there, like a lender or whatnot. To have two of you on there, sending stuff like that. Stacy has me. I've had Stacy sell one of my properties for me, and she's got me on her list, and I love getting those every month from you, Stacy. So stuff like that. For newbies, I feel like sometimes it's hard when you feel like maybe people don't trust you quite yet because you're newer. So even just sending something to announce, hey, I'm in real estate, I'd appreciate any referrals or whatnot, that can help. Honestly, for me, like, with people even that I've helped years ago, like, I'll just like randomly have something happen where it makes me think of them, and I instantly send them a text to just check in. And that's brought back repeat business or whatnot, just to keep frame of mind, checking in on them with a simple text. It doesn't always have to be something that you spend a lot of money on or whatnot, but attending events too. I think there's actually a lot more introverts in this business than we realize. Everybody sees the glitz and glam on social media and thinks that everybody is an extrovert. I consider myself an extroverted introvert, if you know what that means. But I think like getting out in the community and being at events and whatnot always helps when you first start starting and having those conversations with people of like, this is what I'm doing now and whatnot. So, just getting around people and trying to make those connections.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll open it up now. If anybody has any questions, either put it in the chat now, or go ahead and unmute yourself while you guys are thinking of the amazing questions that you have. I'll just throw one out there, and I guess for everybody on here, and all three of you, feel free to just unmute yourself and answer the question. But one that we always run into, speaking of being like a former realtor, was always having that work-life balance. Yeah, especially for you, Chris, having to, do your job, but be on realtor hours. Can you three speak to, since you are seasoned veterans, how you finally, or maybe you haven't yet, found that balance to keep you happy, keep your family happy, friends, but also keep your clients happy as well? Whoever wants to speak first, jump.
Well, I'll speak to it since you asked me, or you put my name in it. It is something that I think like I said, I've been doing this 20 plus years. I think it's something you constantly fight. It's hard in a sense because you want to be a good husband and parent and friend. But you also want to help the people. And most people that I find in this industry, whether they're on the realtor side or on the lending side, somewhat have a little bit of a servant's heart. They want to help people all the time, and those are the ones that are successful and good at what they do. But I do think you need to time block, and I think you need to, I think you have to have a staff, if you're at that level, that can support you, know how you do your business, follow up and do the things that you do, that I would do to be successful. But I think we all do it for the other side, right? So, I mean, the only reason why we work as hard as we do is so that we can provide for our families and do things. I mean, specifically, I'm headed out on spring break vacation tomorrow with my son, and we're going to spend the week in North Carolina, and I've been looking forward to it for months. So, that means I work a little harder and do everything getting in there and be prepared and meet with my staff so that they know what to do next week and have coverage if people need approvals and whatnot. But I think it's important to give yourself those opportunities and not get too stuck at the desk, because just even consistently putting something like a vacation on your calendar drives you and makes you happier. So, but it is tough because we all are out there really 24/7 and trying to do what's best for our clients and not miss an opportunity.
Great answer. I agree with all of that. Arla or Ashley, either one.
Arla, you want to go first?
Nope, go for it.
I was gonna say one thing that's helped me like start my day better is when I am mentally ready to check into real estate, then I check my phone. So, in the first few years, you're trying to respond as quick as possible and get to those messages, and check your phone the second you wake up and you see that you've got sent 10 houses your clients wants to see. It can feel stressful and overwhelming. So I have my phone in a different room outside of my bedroom. I do not have it right beside my bed. And when I am like mentally ready to check into real estate, then I look at my phone. So that's like helped my day start way better. I have 3 young kids, and so I go out and see them in the morning before I like mentally check in for real estate. So that's helped. I think a lot of agents, when you get into the busy swing things, it is really hard to have that separation work-life balance. And I am one of those that likes to be pretty responsive to my clients, but I do try a better job now than probably when I first started of setting boundaries with my clients. Like for evenings, I'm home, I may not get back to you right away, but I will get back to you in a timely manner. But yeah, it can certainly be a struggle in this industry to have that work-life boundary. But those are a couple things that's helped me.
Ashley, I love that. I tell some of my agents that in the morning, don't look at it for that first hour. Create your energy for the day instead of taking on everybody else's energy. Love that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Time management is a constant for all of us in this industry, right? Because we work when they tell us to work, and we may want to work from 9 to 5, but it's just not realistic. Chris brought up some good points where he also mentioned the time blocking, and I firmly do believe. The other thing, when Ashley was talking about social media in the beginning, let people know who you are. I don't think there's anything wrong with telling somebody, you know what, I'm not going to be available for the next 2 hours because I'm going to be at my child's program. And most people will understand and respect that. And kind of, if they're not going to respect it, is it somebody you really want to work with when it's all said and done? For some people, it's been beneficial for them on a time saving to join teams. That way, then they truly can shut the phone off for a day or two and kind of recoup on themselves. But routines, create some routines for yourself. If it's that morning where you're going to spend the time with the kiddos, get them off to school, then after that, block your time so that you've got your power hours, so to speak, or your prospecting time frames to get done. It is something that's hard to always set and practice, but once you've got it down and that routine down, it will make a difference. But you still have the people that are going to call last minute and want you to go show them a house, and you're going to say yes. So just a constant, Sarah.
Yes, those are all fantastic tips. I agree with all of them. Ray is here sitting in my office, and we're like, yes, that is exactly it, especially the taking on other people's energy. So we for sure appreciate that tip. We had a question from Stacy. This can be open to everyone, but actually I'll have it start with you. What type of social media content do you think has gotten you the most business? Or like for Chris, what is the best for you on your side of things? What do you think has gotten you the most business? Was it real estate related or like personal family life related? Maybe what do you think other people like connect with the most that will bring them back to you?
I'll go first on this. So I've kind of changed a little bit of how I do social media. I like on my Instagram, it's open to public view, and I have stopped posting like my children a lot on that just because we open it up to, the world of whoever's looking. And so, I tend to be more real estate related on my Instagram. I'll share more family life on my Facebook because that's people I know, that I've added. But I would say I keep frame of mind for people, because there's people who pop in and out, and I know eventually they're going to sell. It's just not at the right time, but they'll interact with me on certain posts or whatnot, and Messenger, on Instagram with real estate related stuff. So for me, like, I feel like the millennial generation, a lot of us are on Instagram, Facebook too, but I feel like I've gotten more leads from my Instagram than anything, and just keeping frame of mind with people in that. So probably real estate related. I do mix a little bit of like what I'm doing with like my home remodel, stuff like that, and that keeps people engaged and whatnot. But yeah, Instagram is probably my platform and social media.
Good. And always just having the difference of remembering to change what might be best received on Facebook might not be on Instagram, the whole video versus picture thing. Keeping that in mind as well always makes a difference. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
and that,
Chris.
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, go finish, Ashley.
I was just gonna say one thing too is having different content sometimes for each is important, because if you're constantly just posting the same exact post on everything, I feel like people stop looking at your stuff. So I try not to post like the same exact thing always on each platform. So
Yep. Good point. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, well, I think she made some great points. Ashley made some awesome points there, but specifically to me, I do keep it separate. Like I have a business Facebook page and then my personal Facebook page. I do find it interesting because although I try to drive business to my business Facebook page, I would tell you that I think I get more response and reaction from my personal Facebook page. It's weird because I do a lot of posting. My kids are a little older, but both my parents have passed away. So most of the posting I do is in an effort to try and keep like family around the country updated on our whereabouts and what what the kids are up to, so I don't have to make the phone calls. Um, it is interesting because I agree with Ashley wholeheartedly. I think they're going to see everything. So whether it be Instagram or whether it be Facebook or whether it be TikTok or whatever social media outlets you're using, most likely they're going to see it all. So you have to take that into perspective, I think. And I think you have to be careful with how much you want to put out there and what you're comfortable with people, seeing, because they're going to see it. I'm amazed by, like I said, I'm amazed by the response of people to my personal Facebook page, even when they become clients and even a trusted realtor partner. It's like, hey, they're calling me about my kids' golf games more so than they're seeing the videos about the updates to the grant funds, but I think either can work. And I think it's important to have your own identity there of what you feel comfortable with, because I think it also comes through, so if you're doing it just to do it, I don't think you'll get the benefit out of it. If you are comfortable with what you're putting out there and you like what you're doing, I think that's seen as well. And I think that's taken into context by your clients.
Totally agree. Arla, do you have anything to add on that one?
The only thing that I would add, and Chris, maybe that's just you and I being a little bit more seasoned opposed to legends, but being a little bit more seasoned, it seems like, and I agree with both, everything they said is very factual, and Chris is right. If people are looking for you, they're going to find it. They're always going to find it. But I agree, when I do something that's real estate related, I get good responses. But if I take the silly, stupid picture with the face all crunched up or whatever, I'm with you, Chris. That's when you get the biggest responses. So you should have fun with it. And it shouldn't all just be this. Just show your character. Show people who you are. That's what they want to see. That's all I have.
Awesome. Well, let's do kind of one more double-sided question. we always love to see the big successes on social media and hear about those. The lesser ones we hear about are what the struggles that lead to those successes. So kind of a double-sided question. It could be the same scenario, could be separate. But what is one of your biggest struggles that you've had professionally? And then also one of your biggest successes. So it could be the same scenario or separate, and kind of what you've learned professionally from both. I guess we'll just go back in order and we'll just go back to Ashley.
I would say keeping organized amongst the chaos of busy season. So, you know, when it gets busy and, you know, you've got all these things in your mind, I feel like a lot of agents are like, oh yeah, I should do this and this and this. And then you get busy, you know, with your transactions or whatnot, and you're not putting those systems in place. So I guess my biggest advice for newbies is to, you know, figure out like if your company has systems to use for prospecting or CRM and stuff like that. I know Arla touched on the CRM, is to get all of that like in place and learn all that from the get-go, even if you don't have a large database, because eventually you'll have a large database, and trying to like keep organized amongst the chaos can be a little difficult.
Definitely. Go ahead, Chris. Same scenario, different scenario, biggest success, biggest struggle that you learned from.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, as our industry becomes so technologically based, and our society kind of is more in a drive-through society where they want things right now. I would say that's the biggest struggle. I still believe when you're making this kind of commitment financially, that you should build a relationship with who you're working with. You know, we want to provide everybody all of the technologies to do their loan applications online and to get pre-approvals right away and to do all this stuff. But really, it still comes down to that personal experience and the trust and true conversations. There's just a lot of things that are lost in text messaging and emails and online apps that you just aren't getting to the bottom of it. And I think it's important to really sit down with people. I mean, you know, people ask me about volumes all the time because I've been doing it for so long, and I still think that that's at the core of what makes you successful. So I would say my biggest difficulty is just doing that, reining in some of these younger people sometimes and getting in front of them so that they can sit down and we can have real meaningful conversations and get to the heart of what they're trying to accomplish with homeownership, whether it be short-term rentals or rental properties or whatever the case may be. If they're, you know, move up buyers that are you know, only going to live in this first home for, you know, 3 to 5 years or whatever their intent is, I think it's very important to sit down there. But wins wise, I don't know. I've been blessed, so I've had a lot of those. I really always say, I know this is going to sound cheesy, especially with this group, but relationships do matter. And, you know, and at the end of every year, I look at all of my relationships I have with my agent partners, and, you know, we all want high producing, low maintenance people, right? We don't want high maintenance, low producing people. Those are the ones that you fire. But I've just been, you know, I've been lucky, blessed in a sense that I have those relationships with a number of agents that I really cherish.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Go ahead, Arla.
I would say, you know, as much as I said something about blocking all the time and all that, and it sounds really good, my biggest struggle is still time management every day. Just trying to stay on top of that, you know, and I know for a lot of my newer agents just getting started, some of their struggles is getting their name out there, getting their brand out there, finding out who it is that they want to be, and figuring out what model to put out there. You know, Ashley brought up a good point about her mentor and following the mentor around. Take the time to talk to some of your seasoned agents in the office. Hear some of the things that did or did not work, and then take it and personalize it to make it a little bit more for you to help you get over those humps. Use the people and the resources that are around you to make that a better thing for you so that it's not such a struggle. There's a lot of people out there willing to help each of us. We just got to ask for the help, and that's not a bad thing to ever do it. When it comes to the successes, I'm right there with Chris. I have been just blessed, and I forever say thank you for it. But my successes is people. I love watching people just get started as a brand new realtor, and then when that light bulb comes on and they get it, and then they start just kind of taking off and doing their own thing, to me, that's the greatest success. If it's from an agent perspective, if it's from a committee perspective, but just helping, being able to give people some guidance, some tools to help them get to that next level that they want to. There's nothing better than that for me.
Great. I would also put in a little plug of the back and forth for seasoned agents and newer agents of being able to learn from each other, especially as technology really starts to evolve. Always, the give and take. And that's what I always say for YPN, it's your professional network. Everybody is welcome because everybody can learn from everybody. That's the whole purpose of doing this panel as well. So I really want to thank you guys for taking the time to share your wisdom. And anybody have any last questions? We have about 4 minutes left. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you so much to our speakers. Very much appreciated. This is recorded, so I will get it posted up. But otherwise, everybody take all these tips and tricks and, reach out to everybody. See who's on this call and reach out to somebody else to, talk about what you've heard today and learn and grow from it as well. So really want to thank you and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.